part of your journey, you profile the growers that really made an impact on you in the early stage. And
Mm.
in the writing, and this is a nice, I really like this characteristic of the book, you sort of elevate them and give them a certain mystique. Is this your
Mm.
intention to present them in a sort of, like they're artists, really? Do you see a connection between the producer's attitude or their persona and the ground with which they're working?
Well, I guess there's two parts to that question. In terms of the mystique or the way I've presented them, I mean, these are people who have fundamentally changed their wine region, and it's obviously a very famous historic wine region. So they've fundamentally shifted wine history. And these type of great growers, as I like to describe them,
Hmm.
tend to be very powerful personalities. You know, the type of people who achieve what I've just described tend to be very strong, idiosyncratic, deeply thinking, deeply intelligent, people who are very much aware of history, and also very knowledgeable about what they do, which is great wines. And so that's what I've tried to capture. And I think I can understand if someone hadn't met these people that they might think I was in some way, playing up certain characteristics or perhaps exaggerating the force of their character. But in fact, I think actually all I've done is tried to capture them as accurately as possible. And I've had a lot of comments from the region and from people who know these growers, and they're not at all surprised by the way I've described them. And I think so. Yeah, I think it captures them I like to think it captures them reasonably well. And then in terms of the connection with place, these growers, grew up where they make wine, where they grow wines. Typically in the family that owns these vineyards, they're very, very closely connected to the place. You know, the idea of terroir, which of course just means place. We tend to bang on a little bit about terroir being a uniquely French concept, which is ridiculous. It just means place, and all the things that we associate with place, including people. They're people of that terroir, they're people of that place, and so they not only are of that place, but they feel very connected to that place. They have a lot of very deep knowledge about that place, and they have as a result, they have a certain intuition about their vineyards and what they feel, their place wants to express, and so they tend to work along those lines. They tend to maximise or attempt to maximise the expression of terroir, or this expression of place. So I think there is that connection naturally between the people and the wines they produce, this connection of both coming from that place. But also, I think it's fair to say that, the type of personality a grower has, and in this case, when we're talking about, these great growers who have changed their region, they tend to be, as I said, intelligent, deeply thinking characters with a certain force of character, certain force of nature. They also are often very creative people, and this also impacts on the style of wine they make. I make a bit of a joke in the book about, I play with this idea of, owners and their dogs, and compare that with winemakers and the wine they make, or wine growers and the wine they make, which is obviously a bit of fun. But there is definitely, humans are involved in wine growing and making, and so I think it's natural that we should expect, they're making choices all the way through a season and all the way through the élevage or the maturation of a wine. It's perfectly natural that these choices should in some way correspond to their personalities, even though they're all aiming for the same idea, which is to produce the highest all the great growers are aiming for the same idea, which is to produce the highest possible quality and, of course, wines that deeply reflect where they're grown.
It was almost like it was a profile of an artist, and the vineyard was the studio. It was it was quite a nice sort of connection, or a nice parallel sort of to the thing. And one of the observations of the book is how important that vineyard or how important that studio really is to the work and to what comes out at the end, which sort of added to that parallel in a way.
Yes, I think in the Jerome section we really delve into that, because Jerome by chance happens to be someone with a very creative artistic background, and so you can really explore this. But it's interesting that he rejects it because he wants to make the vineyard primacy. But there is a creative element to wine growing and wine making. That's for certain. And I should mention Provaux is also one of the producers that really heavily influenced me in terms of the wine. I only mentioned Le Mondier Bernier, Tête de Vertus, but Aigle-Uriers, Blanc de Noir, Jerome Provaux, Les Beguines, Agrippa's Venus. There's been a number of wines through my journey that have really helped me understand, what was possible in the region of Champagne. Sort of reframed my expectations of the region, if you like.
Yeah, and I think that comes across very nicely in the book.